People who have gone out for a pack of cigarettes and never went back to your family. What happened after you left? Serious. Despite the fact that we were just out of high school and that everything was going fine, we were both young and this was our first serious relationship. When I returned home early one day, I discovered my wife with another man. Her standard craziness was followed by a cry for pardon and months of treatment, all of which were unsuccessful. Everything looked to be fine. She appeared to be an entirely different person who couldn't function well without me there by her side. When I got into our desktop PC one day, her Facebook page was fully filled with several messages, and I had to check them all out. Exactly what I was expecting to find was revealed to me. It had a devastating effect on me, but I behaved as if nothing had happened. I slipped my favorite clothes and other belongings that were important to me inside the vehicle throughout the course of the weekend. The next Sunday evening, I commented, "Hey, I'm going to take the dogs to the dog park and wander around for a few hours." Immediately after getting out of the vehicle, I sent a text message to our next-door neighbor to see whether anybody had arrived at the house. She reacted quickly, saying that a male visitor was on his way, so I said her goodnight and drove out with the dogs in tow. Fortunately, I had a little of money saved up and made the decision, start again somewhere else, which is precisely what I did. Until the next day at midday, my ex-wife did not even make an effort to call me. When I didn't respond, she flooded me with photographs and videos of her with other men, as well as remarks about what a terrible lover I was. I eventually gave up and stopped responding. It had a negative impact on me, but I simply kept going. I ended up in a smaller town where I was able to find a job advertising for my line of work. Later, I remarried to the most amazing person I'd ever encountered, and we had 2 children. I had barely arrived home when my mother sent me a snapshot of the 3 of us at a party. My ex-girlfriend messaged me on Facebook and asked if we could meet for a cup of coffee because she was desperate to put the past behind her. I obviously would like as well. However, despite my disgust and hate for this person, our conversation was pleasant, and I felt better as a result of our conversation. She understood why I left. She apologized sincerely and often, and she never attempted to place blame on me for my actions or inactions. After an hour and a few tears, which was embarrassing as hell in public, lol, she asked if she could have a hug from the group of people. We hugged each other goodnight and said our goodbyes. For a brief while when I returned home and told my wife about the visit, she seemed ashamed. As she walked out of the room, I didn't pursue her because I was thinking to myself, "Oh, I'm going to sleep on the couch tonight." 5 minutes later, she reappeared, tears in her eyes, and just wrapped her arms around me, telling me she had forgotten all I had gone through and that she was sorry and thrilled with how our lives were turning out for the better. To summarize, I exchanged a nasty person for the most wonderful person on the planet. Edit. This has gotten out of hand. I'd want to convey my appreciation to everyone for their kind words. I appreciate them all very much. Yes, I did bring the dogs along with me. The dogs were my favorite members of my family, much more so than the rest of them. Unfortunately, they have passed away due to old age, and I'm not looking forward to seeing them again. However, thank you for your kind words. Yes, we went through a divorce. It was a quick and pleasant process that required no anesthesia. Growing up, my best friend went on to become a divorce attorney. When I returned home, I called him and handed him the photo/video evidence. Following then, the operation was rather basic. Story 2. She cheats with you. She cheats on you, the story of my serial cheating ex. So this tale involves 4 different men, 3 of whom she cheated on and only discovered after she became involved with the 4th. I'll be numbering the men from 1-4, with myself as number 2, in the sequence of our relationships. She was my closest friend in high school. We were really close and everyone assumed we were dating. I had emotions for her but never had the courage to face her. By the start of senior year, she's dating one of our closest friends, boyfriend 1. 1 year into their relationship, I finally confronted her with my sentiments. She claims she has feelings as well but assumed I was uninterested, which is why she got with partner 1. We decided to put it aside out of respect for boyfriend 1, particularly because she has said that she is no longer happy with him, as everyone can see, and that they will be splitting up shortly. Sure enough, a few weeks later, while they're still dating, we have our first kiss. It's worth noting that this was both of our first kiss. We get to make out on a regular basis while they're still together, and then BF1 breaks up with her a few months later. indirectly due to me since we went to the same college and were extremely close, so my relationship with her strained theirs. We spent the following 5 months messing about but not truly getting together, until we're officially formal 6 months later. We had a terrific start to our relationship, but things began to deteriorate. I was unaware of this until after our separation. She was no longer involved in the relationship in any manner, and she was wishing for a divorce. However, since we were extremely close best friends, she was afraid that if she broke up with me, she would lose me as a friend as well. At that point, BF3 reappears in our life. He was also a member of our high school clique, but he had gone to study overseas, so we had lost touch for a time, but he was now kind of back. They begin to grow quite close, and I get suspicious, but when I question her, she becomes defensive and asks, "Why do you not trust me? Have I ever given you cause to not believe me, etc.?" Now, I loved her with all my heart and felt she was my soulmate, sad. So I immediately stopped talking about it to avoid upsetting her. After 10 months of my suspicions, our relationship becomes very difficult, and she ultimately breaks up with me. I was so obsessed with her that even after she broke up with me, we remained the bestest of best friends. Pathetic. A few months after our split, myself, her lady best friend, and a slew of other individuals leave to Europe for school, leaving her best friend seat available. She becomes close to BF4 and even has the audacity to introduce BF3 and BF4 to each other, despite the fact that they are utter strangers. But aren't birds of a feather flock together? BF3 and BF4 rapidly become good friends, and they are frequently online gaming and together. I'll fast forward a year or so, and throughout that time, myself and her lady best friend, apparently the two people closest to her, keep asking whether she and BF3 got together, and she says no, the emotions are there, but she doesn't believe the relationship will endure. He lives abroad. Later on, I start questioning her if anything is going on between her and BF4, since I had the impression he was falling for her, and she also replies no. So come summer, BF3 returns home for a vacation, and we all go to a beach retreat, her best friend, myself, BF3, BF4, and a lot of other pals. She had the audacity to put BF3 and BF4 in the same vehicle on a 4-hour road trip, and even the same hotel room. By then, she'd been in a secret relationship with BF3 for 2.5 years, 10 months before we split up, precisely by the time I became suspicious, and she gaslighted me for it. But the relationship was in shambles, and he was becoming suspicious as well. She wakes up, kisses BF3 good morning, and we all walk to the beach. Then she makes an excuse and returns to the hotel room with BF4, where they have their first kiss, which she initiates, while lady best friend is unwittingly having a shower in the same room. It doesn't end there. She writes him BF4 about their first kiss, how much she liked it, and other such things. The next day, we're in the water, and BF3 is hurt and unable to enter. He searches her phone with her consent and discovers her and BF4 messaging about their first kiss, and all hell breaks loose. She's confined in her room for the whole day, with BF3, BF4, and her lady best friend, her roommate, coming in and out and squabbling, and the rest of the group has no clue what's going on. I began to comprehend, since I knew both of them had affections for her. The following day, she comes to me, supposedly her best friend, weeping, saying she messed up, that she was dating BF3 a few months after we split up, which was another lie, but was concealing it from me so I didn't think she moved on too quickly from our relationship, and that she kissed BF4. I console her, tell her it'll be okay, that I'm clearly unhappy that she lied to me about both BF3 and BF4, but I'm her best friend, and I'm here for her, and other sentimental nonsense. We all go out that day, I get drunk, and just before I go to bed, BF4, who is also a very good friend of mine, tells me he wants to speak to me. We go to the beach for 4 hours and he tells me all he knows, and BF3 joins in and says he is extremely sorry and never intended to insult me, and that she forced him into it. She never comes clean about anything. A couple of weeks later, she tries to contact me on social media to explain herself, but I turn her down. That's how she lost 4 of her closest friends in a single weekend. Female best friend couldn't take the amount of garbage she'd been feeding her for years, and BF4 didn't know she was with BF3, so she unwittingly made him a part of her infidelity.